Hello, welcome along to the very first edition of Camel Racing News. We'll be here every Tuesday to bring you up to date with events at a local and regional level right the way through this most traditional of sports. Let's start with this week's headlines. The Al Mamoon prep races kicked off in style thanks to the generous sponsorship of His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum. From the break of dawn until the close of play, racing camels undergo a series of stringent procedures. We'll be explaining a little bit more. From the farm to the milking bay, camel products are produced here and used the world over. And we start our news right at the start, literally. So we begin this week with the highlight of the month, and Al Mamoon Racetrack was privileged to host the season opener out at Al Mamoon. It was the prep races sponsored by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Deputy Ruler of Dubai and Minister of Finance. The events were designated for 3-year-olds competing over 4 kilometres. We've got a little bit more coming up.
Races of purebred Arabian camels have been immensely celebrated by inhabitants of this kind land right from day one. The attention accorded to camel races is not only for the sake of the sport, but rather in acknowledgement of this giving animal which was glorified by God in the Holy Book. The sport dates back to the 1980s when the late Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, the then president of the UAE, announced the start of camel racing in the UAE. Accordingly, instant attention was paid to this sport, which shaped into an avenue for owners and a platform for a high-class sport and rich rewards. The start of the racing season in the Gulf region is marked by heightened attention to the sport, and the stakes become quite high. Folks regroup and Al Mamoon track renews its welcoming of competitions. Al Mamoon Preps marks the start of the season, which is always sponsored by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, who is quite keen to give every possible support to the sport of ancestors since competitions were held at the old track of Nad Al Sheba. At the start of the season, all eyes are glued to centre stage Al Mamoon Racetrack, the venue of this traditional showpiece. The programme always features the participation of the creme of purebreds and superbly turned out animals. The programme will kick-start on Tuesday, September the 6th, 2016, witnessing 14 morning races over 4 kilometres for 3-year-olds owned by sheikhs. Competitions will then roll on throughout the season. Congrats to all connections on the start of the new racing season and on the renewed massive support from the sheikhs for this traditional legacy.
Time now then to look back at the results of day one. There were 14 races, as you heard there, all for 3-year-olds over 4 kilometres, and all of them owned by their highnesses, the sheikhs. Here's what happened.
On the morning of Tuesday, September the 6th, the sport of tradition was all set for exciting live shows here at Al Marmoon, ushering the start of yet another lively camel racing season in Dubai. The inaugural event, which was richly sponsored by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Deputy Ruler of Dubai and Minister of Finance, was for 3- and 4-year-olds as part of a 4-week-long programme comprising 248 races, exclusively for the camels of sheikhs and Gulf owners. The opener was a race for 3-year-olds over 4 kilometres for sheikhs camels, where Hashima from Zabil Yard, owned by His Highness Sheikh Maktoum bin Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, was unbeatable in the feature event for maidens. Al Shaiba, owned by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, scored the best time on the day. The event was attended by His Highness Sheikh Maktoum bin Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum and huge folks comprising owners and enthusiasts of this authentic cultural sport. Hashima, who was trained by Rashid Mohammed Balmarashid, was a worthy winner of race 1, stopping the clock at 6:12.50 in a great start for Zabil Yard. Rizala, owned by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum and trained by Ahmed Sultan Al Sawaidi, couldn't be denied in the second race for maiden crossbred 3-year-olds. Her dazzling performance was marked with a fast speed, recording a time of 6:11.80. Final moments of race 3 for local 3-year-old male camels saw a fierce competition where DubaI emerged through the ranks to hit the line first in a strong dash in the concluding stages, recording 6:18.60. Owned by His Highness Sheikh Rashid bin Hamdan Al Maktoum, DubaI is conditioned by Atij Balati Al Himyari. In race 4, Al Sabah, owned by His Highness Sheikh Saeed bin Hamdan Al Maktoum, was dominant in the race set for 3-year-old local crossbreds. Al Sabah, trained by Saeed Mohammed bin Hazayam, made his seasonal debut a winning one in a scorching pace, finishing the event in 6:09.70. Race 13 for local maiden 3-year-olds saw a very fast and furious pace where Al Shabia made a stunning performance to beat everything and stopped the clock at 6:05.90, the best time recorded on the day. This young female is owned by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum and trained by Rashid Saeed Balgafria. The sunset of day 1 brought about the fresh air of hope for a new thrilling day at the Smart Track.
We also saw some good action on the second day of the Al Marmoon prep races with some big names and also some future stars in action. We'll catch up with it right now.
The second day of Al Marmoon prep races saw races exclusively for camels owned by sheikhs, and the event was highlighted by a scintillating performance of Nad Al Shibi Yard, which took home 10 out of the 14 trophies on the day. The yard is owned by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Dubai Crown Prince. Safwa kicked off the strong show of the yard, easily running away from her rivals in the opener set for 3-year-old local maidens. She finished the event in 6:13.00, opening the account for His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed and Nad Al Shibi Yard on the day. Remas in the second race for 4-year-old crossbred maidens made a quick double for the yard in the slowly run event, recording 6:16.70. The great run of Nad Al Shibi yard was carried through race 3 to record the third straight victory for the yard from as many starts on the day. It was Mushageb who prevailed in the event for local 3-year-old males, recording a time of 6:20.80. The super hat-trick of the yard came through in race 4 for 3-year-old male crossbreds. Al-Wayi was there to deliver sporting the colours of His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum, recording a time of 6:19.00. The winning momentum of the Nad Al Shibi yard was carried through the day, bringing the overall tally to 10 titles. If that wasn't enough, it was Dosha for the same connections who recorded the fastest time of the day in race 9 for 4-year-old maidens, stopping the clock at 6:09.02. This was certainly a day to remember for Nad Al Shibi yard.
Let's recap once more then the results of the 14 races on day 2. Once again, they were for 4-year-olds owned by the Sheikhs. It's time to take a short break here on Camel Racing News, but our bulletin will continue right afterwards. Welcome back to Camel Racing News, and we move on to day 3 of the festival, which saw some of the best purebred 3-year-old camels in action in races especially put on by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum in a gesture of support to this most traditional of sports. Let's find out a few more details.
Al Mamoon Prep Races, sponsored by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Deputy Ruler of Dubai and Minister of Finance, continued on day 3, comprising 16 races all over 4 kilometres. Participation was restricted to 3-year-olds representing Gulf owners. Massive crowds made their way to the racetrack, including owners and fans. The opener, which was for local maidens, was hotly contested between 2 frontrunners, Atiaf and Al Shahaniya. Eventually, the former managed to land the spoils, recording a win for owner Saeed bin Dahi Hamad Al Mazrui, stopping the clock at 6:01.70. Race 2 for maiden crossbreds was dominated by Al Juri, owned by Sagir bin Ganoun, finishing the race in 6:01.09. The best time recorded on the day was in race 3 for local older camels, scored by Muhatir, owned by Salmin bin Dagash Al Amri, recording a swift time of 5:59.80. Race 4 for crossbred older camels was hugely dominated by Shaheen, owned by Salim bin Saif bin Gadaya Al Ariani, recording 6:01.20.
As we heard there, the second race was for crossbred maidens, and it was Al Juri, owned by Yahya Al Sahir Al Qutbi, who was unbeatable and held off Siouf in the last moments of the race, with the clock stopping at 6:01.90, a very narrow margin. Let's see now if we can hear from the winning trainer.
الحمد لله رب العالمين مجهزين لهذا الموسم السنة والحمد لله وعلى عود شيخنا خليفة بن زايد الله يطول عمره يبقى بصحة وسلامة ودائما نشوف حنا بخير حنا بخير. الغالي الجودي أقول لك دوم تدخل يعني بداية المسيرة تدخل بس في النهاية تعطي الحوق بكرة هذا اللي هي ويخرها ويبكر العام جاي ثاني على موتر منافسة على موتر وايد في الرئيسيات شوف والسنة يعني دخلناها شوط تمهيدي ولدينا طال عمرك ودخلناها ثاني تدخيل اللي هي هاي الجودي ابوها المشيل وامها بيت الغاهر شوف والهي انجازات حلوه.
In the fourth race, it was Shaheen, owned by Salim Saif Al-Arani, who was the dominant winner, recording a time of 6:01.20. Afterwards, we paid a visit to the winning owner, who spoke to us about the bloodlines of Shaheen and his superb record on the track.
هذا الحمد لله توفيق من رب العالمين. الحمد لله ما قصروا ونحن جايين أن متأملين أنه يسبق وهذا توفق الحمد لله ونحن سايرناه سايرة عدلة والحمد لله هذا توفيق من رب العالمين. والقعود سبوق له إنجازات سبق العام الماضي وله سبق سنة وكسرتين وتأملنا منه تأمين الخير. والعام الماضي له 3 اشتراكات سبق ومن عقبها عاد نحن ريحنا القعود لأنه كان شوي صحته ما تسمح. والحمد لله السنة صحته طيبة والحمد لله شاركنا به والقعود الحمد لله سبق.
So time now then to recap at day 3, which comprised 16 races for 3-year-olds, all of them for golf owners. So that's the end of round 1 of the Al Mamoon prep races, which proved a very good start to proceedings. Here's a little bit more.
The sunrise on Friday, September the 9th, marked the start of the final races of the first round of Al Mamoon Prep Races 2016. All races were open for 4-year-old runners exclusively owned by tribal men. The morning session included 16 races, all over 5 kilometres. The day saw thrilling showdowns and lively contests thanks to the participation of huge and talented runners. Jawahir, owned by Saeed bin Nasib Al Qutbi, proved a star in the making in the opening for local virgins. She was ready to deliver and couldn't be denied the first title, ending the event in 7:44.10. Race 2 for Virgin Crossbreds was equally challenging, and Al Shahaniya for Saud bin Nasir bin Hamoud Al Shafi was by far the star of the field, finishing first, recording 7:53.50. Race 3, which was for local 3-year-old males, saw a dazzling performance from Sogan for Ahmed bin Said bin Manana. This promising camel was a dominant force and proved a hard nut for all competitors, recording 7:52.50. Race 4 saw the best timing of the day. The winner, owned from Saud bin Rashid Al Shafi, recorded just 7:39.10. This marks the end of round 1 of the ride, sponsored by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum.
Yeah, so as we saw there were several brilliant winners on the day, and Solkan, owned by Ahmed Saeed bin Manana, could not be denied in the 3rd race. Let's hear what the delighted owner had to say afterwards.
والله المستويات طول عمرك طيبة وكل العالم مجهزة، خاصة هذه شهر سمو الشيخ حمدان بن راشد، والسبوق تقدم طول عمرك الأفضل، والعالم طبعا مستعد من بداية الموسم الخاصة لهذا الشهر. الإيداع يمكن ما توقعنا على نفس اللقاية، لأن اللقاية طبعا مسافة 4 كيلو، واللقاية يمكن يعني العالم ما وصلوا 5 كيلو اشتراكات، العالم عنده الأربعة وعنده الثلاثة، واللقاية يمكن العالم توقع أنه يكسر ال6، أما الإيداع طبعا ما أتوقع صراحة أنه يكون يعني تيم، لأن الإيداع طول عمرك بداية طول الحين. والله سوقان طول عمرك اختصار الموضوع أنه قام من البداية طول عمرك وأنهى الشوط وبكل أريحية الحمد لله. أحب أهدي هذا الناموس طول عمرك لأحمد بن سعيد المنانة ولأهل زعبيل كافة.
So time then for a recap of day 4 when there were 14 races for 4-year-olds, all of them owned by golf owners. Time to take another short break. We'll be back with Camel racing news in just a few moments. Welcome back, and time now for something just that little bit different, because the DubaI Camel Racing Club has a huge job in preparing and legalising racing for all of the participants involved. Each race goes through several stages from well before the start until the final winner crosses the line. This following report takes us behind the scenes.
With the break of the early morning, birds start moving around in search of food in a quiet start to the day. But it is not so quiet over here. The morning at Al Marmoom is bustling with activities. People are scrambling in a race against time, assisting each other. Everyone is pretty busy. The obsession of finishing first prompts connections to make every possible effort in vying for rich prizes. No one can wait for excitement to trigger. Owners' colours are quickly fitted to mounted wireless robots in heated pre-competition atmosphere. Checking the electronic ID indicates the use of technology in serving tradition everywhere. Once numbers are allocated, racing camels are led to the barrier to get a bit organised. Then comes the moment the connections have been sleeplessly awaiting. Once the barrier is off, the sandy scene bursts into a hotly contested competition between purely bred animals. The agility of racers makes connections forget the time spent and set them alight for the time to come. The thrill heats up on the track. Off the track, hearts beat loudly and the world is set alight. At the concluding stages, the joy of winning sets in. With the happiness of some, the winning animals undergo the testing prior to the announcement of the results. The curtain is then drawn on an episode, but a fresh one gets underway. It is no wonder that the DubaI Racing Club is pronounced a source of joy. Why not? It's here in the club yard. Racing becomes nothing but sweet.
Of course, there's also many uses for camels outside of racing, and the history of the camel milk processing factory goes back 25 years ago, when it was conceived by the Dubai government's Central Veterinary Research Laboratory. Research began with the aim of identifying scientific evidence of notable health benefits of camel products. The ultimate objective was to provide camel milk and dairy products to a large segment of consumers. Let's go inside the factory and find out some more.
Camels have been a miracle since Prophet Saleh. Every bit in camels is fit for human use and consumption. Thus, it was no wonder that camels were part of our ancient history, and they do have a promising future as well. We are not here today to see who will win the trophy. Rather, we want to cast light on camel milk this time. This takes us to a visit to Emirates factory for camel milk and products. Here, camels are seen grazing or wandering around in search of natural grass despite the availability of various sorts of rich food. The nature prevails in these animals. Everything here is measured and controlled. Camels go on measured exercises, allocated specific quantities of food and given calculated time of rest. This is a factory modelled after the natural life. With all this refined processes and practices, the Emirates factory is endeavouring to deliver the purest of camel milk and dairy products. Camels are led individually or in groups to the milking bay, where their udders are fitted to specific milking tubes connected to sterile containers. Once filled, the content is channeled to bottles that are sealed and immediately put in fridges ready for distribution. It all goes down to the logo, from camel to consumer. From the farm to the feeding barn to the milking bay, a journey that may seem simple, but the final products are taken all over the globe. Camels were described as desert ships, patient animals, and supply caravans like no other. Who else will do what camels do? No one. Nevertheless, its milk is tasty, cures illnesses, and rich in proteins and vitamins.
Before we go, time to let you know exactly what we'll be looking back at next week on Camel Racing News. That's it for this very first episode of Camel Racing News. We hope you've enjoyed it, perhaps learned something, and we look forward to speaking to you at the same time again next week. Goodbye.